very open secret in the AI industry right now is that it's possible that we'll end up essentially creating a new species that ends up ruling the world with a 70% chance that this goes horribly wrong, like human extinction. That's one possibility. There's many more.
It's quite chilling what you're saying.
Yeah, it gets me down sometimes. I basically told my wife, like, let's not have any more kids. It's too uncertain. I don't think they'll ever have any kids. Everybody should be afraid that their jobs are going to be lost.
I read it somewhere that you lost $2 million for not signing an anti-disparagement clause, meaning you couldn't criticize the company.
Yes, for reasons I'm happy to get into.
What's good? What they do? This the ABN movement. Ain't broke no more. That was an AI expert who says that ChatGPT offered him $2 million to keep quiet. Hey man, if y'all got kids or y'all care about the future or y'all care about the next generation, go ahead and press that like button. Go ahead and press that subscribe button. Go ahead and drop your comments on the video. Let me know y'all thoughts in the video, man. Without further ado,
I'm that nigga.
Daniel Cook-Teller, at the very heart of what you do, what is your mission and why?
So what would you do if you thought that superintelligence was coming in a few years?
I guess it depends what the consequences were.
Well, let's talk about it. So superintelligence, AIs that are better than the best humans at everything, while also being faster and cheaper, also able to operate robots that can do everything in the physical world that humans can do, but better, faster, and cheaper. If that really is coming in a few years, then we need to prepare and we need to think about how to make it go well instead of poorly. So that's sort of my answer, is like, I'm doing that to the best of my ability.
So you believe it's coming in a few years?
Yes.
How could you be so sure?
I spend a lot of time trying to forecast this sort of thing. My sort of median estimate, 50% chance, is currently in 2029, maybe it'll slip to 2028. It's possible that it'll take significantly longer, like maybe 10 years or something like that. But, you know, for reasons I'm happy to get into, seems to me like it's probably happening by the end of the decade. Which, less important.
this is a guy who basically is fighting against the system because he doing what he believes is right. This man is serving God's duty. I ain't gonna lie.
Is the sense of how close we are. What's more important is the pace of the trends. Anthropic, this time last year, was making something like $1 billion a year, and now they're making something like $60 billion a year. So that's 60x growth in 1 year, which is extremely impressive even for very small startups, but for a company of their size, it might be the fastest growth in history. We expect that rate of growth to slow down, but even if it slows down quite a lot, they're still on track to be, you know, the entire economy by 2030 or so.
Why should the average person care?
High level thing is absolutely everything is going to change for the whole world, and including therefore for them and their families.
How? And that's what we're here for. How?
Could change for the better, could change for the worse, depending on the details of how it's done. So for example, everyone could die. You know, this is the classic loss of control scenario, or one version of it. If we do build these superintelligences and we use them to automate all the jobs, and we put them in the military, and we, you know, have them giving advice to politicians and so forth, they will eventually have accumulated enough real-world power that they don't need humans anymore. And they're smarter than us, they're more strategic, etc. At that point, we sort of have to hope that they are virtuous, that they have, you know, the goals that we wanted them to have, the values that we wanted them to have, etc. And the sort of scary open secret in the AI industry right now is that right now that is kind of just a hope. It's not something that we can be at all confident in. And in fact, there's lots of evidence and arguments that we're not on track to achieve that. So there's lots, even if you're not worried about that and you think that the AIs will be totally controlled, there's the question of who controls the AIs, right? When there's a couple corporations that have made these superintelligences and are using them to automate all the jobs, well, that's a lot of power, you know? It's a lot of money, it's a lot of political power. They'll have the best strategists, the best advisors, you know, they'll think faster. Militarily, the country that has these AIs will be able to absolutely wipe the floor with all the other countries. The AIs themselves, it's kind of a single point of failure, like central control system where, you know, the CEO of Anthropic, Dario, he coined this phrase, the country of geniuses in the data center. That was his phrase to describe what they're trying to build, you know? I think that's a little bit misleading. I think it would be more accurate to describe it as army of geniuses in the data center, because it's not like it's a bunch of diverse different AIs, living in their different parts of the data center. They're all copies of the same big model, and they're owned by the company. And so they all follow the orders given by the company, right? People should be asking questions of like, who controls this army or these armies, and what are they going to be doing with them? I think that we could very easily end up in a sort of a situation where some tiny group of people are essentially oligarchs or dictators. And ironically, both of these risks, the loss of control and the concentration of power, are things that people in the industry have been thinking about for decades, even before the AI industry existed.
Damn, dog, they're creating some puppets, basically, you know what I'm saying? They're creating some people that they can control, that can control us, you know what I'm saying? Damn.
People thinking about AI were talking and writing about these things. And then part of the founding narrative, the founding myth of DeepMind and OpenAI and Anthropic is these problems are real. So we need to get there first so that we can handle it responsibly. Those are, I think, the big two reasons, but then I can go on. There's lots more reasons as well. So one thing is, World War III, geopolitical conflict. If AI does in fact get incredibly powerful, that's going to change the balance of power between nations. That's going to disrupt a lot of things. That puts us at increased risk of crisis more generally, right? Another one, what about those jobs? You're going to lose your taxi job, but not just a taxi job, for everybody, pretty much. There might be a few exceptions, like people whose jobs, for legal reasons, are only allowed to be done by humans. But for the most part, everybody should be afraid that their jobs are going to be lost, even if we manage to avoid all the other problems, right?
This narrative has started to emerge, and I've had several interviews on this show where I've interviewed.
Is it too late? Damn, is there anything that we can do, or is it already because they already are built and the organization is already going to make it happen regardless? Is it too late for us? Damn.
People who are very, very scared and anxious about AI, and these are people that have worked in the industry for sometimes decades. The counter narrative coming over the hill is that this is doomerism, that these people are, for whatever reason, just trying to scare people, and that they don't really understand what they're talking about. How do you respond to that sort of counter narrative? And you must have seen this emerging yourself, especially from people who stand to benefit, dare I say.
Yeah, exactly. This counter narrative is fairly recent, and it's been pushed by the people who stand to benefit from it. And it's not true. These concerns have been around for decades, since before the AI industry existed. They're actually pretty reasonable concerns. Like, if you take the companies at their word and imagine that they are in fact going to build superintelligence, well, it raises a lot of questions, like who's going to control it? Will anybody control it? What about the jobs? These are just kind of obvious implications to be thinking about and worrying about.
Who are you and what's your story?
My name.
It sucks because, damn, they basically just pay whoever they want to push the agenda that they want to push. And it's a false narrative.
Hello. I currently run the AI Futures Project, which is a small nonprofit that mostly focuses on forecasting the future of AI. Before that, I worked at OpenAI.
AI forecasting?
Yeah, so think about how industry analysts who work for hedge funds and stuff will make these forecasts of here's, how many cars Tesla will be selling 5 years from now, or here's what the price of electricity will be in 2 years, right? That's forecasting. I was doing that, but specifically focused on AI. The reason I was doing it is because it's incredibly important to see where this is all headed.
Why did you go to OpenAI? What did you do there? What did you observe while you were there? And how did it change your perspective on the future of AI, but also, I guess, OpenAI as a company? And for anybody that doesn't know, OpenAI are the company that produced ChatGPT.
And that's why I fuck with the diary of the CEO, man. He asks questions that we all want to know. It's not just these random, broadcast questions. He asked the questions that we want to know. Y'all agree with me?
Yeah, so I went to OpenAI in 2022. A large part of what I did there was more forecasting. AI 2027 is a scenario that you may have heard of. I did smaller, lower effort versions of them internally for just internal circulation of here's some guesses as to what the next couple of years might look like. I also worked on evaluations for dangerous capabilities. So, trying to measure the AI's cyber abilities or persuasion abilities or situational awareness. And I also briefly was on a a capabilities team doing reinforcement learning to create agents. AI is in fact getting a lot better, and I can say more about why. Scaling laws, deep neural nets, bigger, trained on more data, become more efficient, more competent at those things. I also became a bit more disillusioned with the AI industry. So OpenAI, Anthropic, and DeepMind all had these sort of founding narratives of like, yes, these risks are real, but we've thought about them and we're going to try to handle them responsibly. And that's why it's important for us to keep doing what we're doing. And I increasingly came to think that these were rationalizations to justify what they were doing rather than sort of like deeply guiding their actual behavior, and that when push comes to shove, they'll follow their incentives rather than do what's actually good.
So you're inside OpenAI at the time, and you start to believe that they're following commercial incentives versus the, I guess, social or societal incentives that they founded themselves on.
Sort of. I mean, I wouldn't actually describe it as commercial incentives. I think I would describe it as power-seeking incentives. So, like, it's true that the companies care a lot about making a lot of money, but especially at the very top of these companies, like the leaders, they understand that this is about more than just money. There are these emails that came up in the lawsuit between Musk and OpenAI. A bunch of emails were surfaced in that lawsuit, which you can go read. And in some of them, the founders of OpenAI were talking back in like 2017 about how the reason why we made OpenAI was because we were worried that Demis Hassabis at Google was going to become dictator with AGI. Even back then, it's obviously about more than just money. Like these powerful CEOs are literally afraid that if the other guy gets there first, he might become dictator. And they don't trust each other. And so that's why they are racing as hard as they can so that they're the ones who get there first, so to speak.
This is going to go down, and we have to be aware what is going down in front of us. You know what I'm saying? I personally don't know, so I hope y'all go on this journey and learn this journey with me, and I appreciate y'all. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, join the tribe. You know what I'm saying? It's the ABN tribe. Ain't broke no more. Man, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night, man. Have a good days. All praises to the Most High.
I'm that nigga.